predominant submissive map generation, or PDSM, as we like to shorten it to. I also wrote this paper with Agha and Charity, and of course my former advisor Julian. I'm a bit of a visual learner, so I decided to bring some props to really drive home some of these concepts. We have submissive maps, and we have dominant maps. Everyone on my campus, please. We have a little 9 notes and some pictures. Let me put these here just so the rest of the room sees them. So what are we doing here, right? Everyone's just like, what the crap am I? So we're trying to generate tutorial levels. That's the main goal of what we're trying to do. And I have some experience with trying to do tutorial stuff. This is the short list of papers that are in this space. I'm a big fan of trying to merge video games, AI, and education. So tutorial levels are one way that you can try to teach players how to play. Mainly what we're trying to do in this paper is we're trying to generate levels that encourage or discourage certain play styles. And by play styles, I'm using Mario here as an example. By play styles, I'm talking about these patterns of player behavior, right? So different ways that people engage with the same game content. So in Mario, for example, you can have over here on the left-hand side, you have Mario going around and popping off Goombas. You can also have speedrunners and compete with world records. You can have a bunch of point collection. Maybe you like seeing your points go up. People engage with games with their own intrinsic biases and motivations for what they enjoy. So we have different play styles. So we want to try to generate levels that encourage or discourage these different play styles. Now, why would we want to do this? Is because we want to build tutorials with them. We can also merge a bunch of these different levels together in a sequence to build kind of a curriculum that could teach maybe a single play style or discourage the use of a certain play style, get a player over whatever bump that they're struggling with while they're playing. You could also, if you're not generating these on the fly, maybe you have a library of these, you could use some sort of dynamic difficulty adjustment. So as you're playing, if you're struggling with certain content, I can give you content that can ease you into a new strategy. We could also do more experience-driven content generation, right? So I could generate these things on the fly and feed them to you as you're playing. For the purposes of this experiment, we're going to be using a favorite of mine called Mini Dungeons 2. Mini Dungeons is a 2D roguelike dungeon crawler research game. You can kind of see the controls over here on the left. Some of you in this room may have been taking part of a user study that we've done on this, because we've done a lot of research with this framework in the past. But you're this little gray soldier, and you're getting chased around by a minotaur, and you can just kind of slap right there. And you go around and you can collect potions, you can slay monsters, you can collect treasures, and your goal is to make it to the exit, which he's about to do right there. And that's how you end up winning a game, and you have health. You're trying not to get slain by monsters while you're playing. There's 3 different play styles that are recognized officially in this framework. There's others in there that maybe like merges of different play styles, but these are the kind of 3 main ones. There's runners, people who try to get to the exit as fast as possible. There's treasure collectors, people who go around trying to collect all the treasure. Kind of makes a lot of sense. And then monster killers, which you try to slay as many monsters as you can without getting killed. So again, we're trying to build persona-dependent levels, and we're terming this for the first time as the levels that promote or dissuade certain play styles. It will scope your play style behavior into a small experience. And to do this, we're going to use a list of procedural personas. Procedural personas are artificial models of player behavior. So they're like agents that can play like a specific archetypal player. To generate these levels, we're going to use an algorithm called MapWeets. It's a quality diversity algorithm. What that means is that you can evolve high fitness solutions and then organize them according to behavioral characteristics so you get a diverse set of solutions. In this particular area, what we're going to do is we're going to use the health of each of these archetypal agents as our dimensions, and our fitness is going to be our simplicity. So our evolution process looks a bit like this. We're going to have our 3 different archetypal players. We're going to be playing some maps that are getting generated. We're going to grade them based off of how simple the map is, and then we're going to organize them based off of their ending health, which goes from 1 to 10. We're going to be looking at balanced levels and unbalanced levels for our results. Balanced levels are where all 3 personas end the level with a similar amount of health. So on the left, we have a level where you have the runner, the treasure collector, and the monster killer, which you kind of showed into R, T, C, and K. They just have to do the same thing. There's really nothing else to do on that level. It's pretty blank. On the right-hand side, however, nobody can be in this level. None of the personas can win. No matter how they try to play, they're going to get like looped down by these wizards that will be casting spells in the lower right-hand corner. So nobody's going to be able to really escape that and beat the level. On the other hand, you can also look at unbalanced levels. This is where it gets fun. So this is where we're going to get into the dominant levels, which are levels where the persona, so if I say like something is persona dominant, that particular persona has a very high health compared to the other personas. And if we say, persona submissive, that means that they have a very low health compared to other levels. So you may not want to necessarily play as that persona for that particular level. We have a couple examples here, but let's walk through a couple of these. So this is a runner dominant level, right? So the runner has an advantage here, and we're going to show off exactly what the runner would do. The runner is in green, the monster killer is in red, and the treasure collector is in yellow. So in this particular instance, the runner just has to move over to the left. It's like 3 moves to win. It's a very simple level for a runner to beat. So the runner's going to have a very high health score. I think this is from 0 to 4, actually.
Yeah.
If you mixed it at 0. So the runner has like the max health that you can walk away with in this particular level. But if you wanted a challenge, you could try to play as a monster killer, who we highlighted in red, who will go after the first ogre at the very top, and the second ogre at the bottom. Or you could try to be a treasure collector, who would go for that treasure chest, probably get seen by that ogre, and then get chased by that monster for the rest of the game. Did I copy? Sorry. Okay, sorry, this one. On this one, this is a treasure collector submissive level. In this instance, you wouldn't want to be a treasure collector because you would get destroyed by this wizard who's going to be nuking you with spells the entire time. So you probably want to play as either a monster killer to first slay that wizard, maybe with a javelin or walking over to it and hitting it. Or you want to be a runner because you can get right behind that wall there and get out of line of sight of that wizard. And so this particular level would try to dissuade you from playing as a treasure collector, whereas this level would try to persuade you to play as a runner, right? On the other hand, you can have extremely unbalanced levels. This is another treasure collector submissive level. And this level would heavily dissuade a player from playing as a treasure collector, because as you can see, their dimensional value is 0 for a treasure collector. So treasure collector walks away from this level with barely any health remaining, if any, at all. Meanwhile, a runner could again very easily beat this level by going straight to the exit. And if you were to play as a monster killer, which would be a real challenge, you have to strategically use javelins and other map features in order to get around. Maybe if you wanted to play as a treasure collector, you'd first go and slay all the monsters, and then go collect all the treasure, rather than try to one-track mind yourself to the treasure. So, how do we do tutorial-wise on this? Well, we looked at our big swath maps, and a lot of these maps are simple because of that fitness pressure, where we were trying to make things very a lot of these maps are simple because of fitness pressure, where we're trying to grade these maps based off of how simple or complex they are, or we're punishing for more complexity. Maps where the personas have high amounts of health should, in theory, be simpler for that particular persona. And we see maps where our dimensional characteristics are very similar to one another, where we maybe have 4s and 3s and high levels of health. We'll use like this gentle flavor to kind of nudge your behavior into a particular direction. But those more extreme examples are more like a firmer, heavy play pushing you into a general direction for your strategy. But we looked at the correlation to difficulty for these particular maps, also an important feature of tutorial levels. In theory, tutorials should be simple and easy for somebody to play. And what we found is that having lots of HP at the end of a level doesn't necessarily mean that for that persona that level is easy, right? Low HP, however, typically means that that level is pretty hard. And I guess the way to think about this is to think about HP as a currency that you're spending in the game. There's actually a concept in game theory that's called strategic headroom, where you can spend a currency in order to enable yourself to go and have more choices in the game. It gives you more flexibility. So if you think of HP as that flexible currency that allows you more options to take, more routes that you can make for yourselves in these maps. So if you have low HP, you have lower currency to spend, therefore things are a lot less flexible for you. So what we can do with this in the future, this is where I get really excited, is you can build this into a persona-dependent pipeline. This thing could basically feed itself. You could put these persona-dependent scenes or scene generators into, we put it down here in the lower right-hand corner. But if you were able to classify a player's behavior, you could then feed them maps and build a sequencer that could allow them to either get better at the particular persona that they're leaning towards, or try to dissuade them and encourage them to play as a different kind of persona, right? We actually built a classifier in an earlier piece of work. Oh, I forgot to set that up, but I'm just realizing that. Oh, crap. So there's another picture out there that if you guys want, you can come up to me and ask me about that one, where we can actually classify playstyle behavior in players. But the idea would be to build this pipeline so then you could feed somebody in real time maps that correspond to what they're playing as. Other future work is we could explore not using simplicity as a fitness function. We're looking into the curriculum generation. This part down here where we're selecting TC scenes or non-TC scenes, that's more of a sequencing curriculum generation problem, which we haven't really tackled yet. That could be a lot of fun. And we could evolve new personas that a human player self-play. In fact, we're working on a project like that right now where we're trying to evolve personas using neuroevolution to try to discover the persona space. That's all that I have to share with you guys today. That was really fast. I hope you all enjoyed it.